Hi all, my name is Comet and welcome to my cosmic corner of the internet where we discuss all things astrology, and today all things Capricorn rising, Capricorn ascendant, taking a deep dive into this angle, which in my humble opinion, I do believe it is one of the most important facets of astrology to dive into to better understand yourself, your outlook, your mindset, as well as get in touch with how it is that you are perceived. So we are going backwards through this series. So this week is Capricorn. In 2 weeks' time, it'll be Sagittarius rising, so on and so forth. And before I dive into the power that this rising sign in particular holds, if you would just keep in the back of your head, if I earn your like, subscription, notification, I know Capricorn risings, you guys do not dole those out. Dole those out willy-nilly left and right. But if I earn it, if you gain value from this video, I would so appreciate it. And without further ado, let's dive in. Capricorn rising. So I don't know why I'm being so casual for this video in particular. I'm literally in my little star jammies talking about Capricorn rising, which is not a casual, comfy placement. Powerful, yes. Casual, no. So I'll be diving into how it is that you see the world and how the world sees you, because I do believe that the rising sign in particular gets very simplified by modern astrology as, oh, it's your mask, it's what people perceive, but it's not you. Your rising sign is you. It is quite literally the sector of the sky that was rising at the moment that you were born. It is a screenshot of the energy where your spirit met substance, right? You were born into the world at that exact moment. So let's firstly talk about how it is that you see the world as a Capricorn rising. So when you have those lens of Capricorn, how do you see the world? You see the world through a very realistic lens. Realistic at times to the point of pessimism, perhaps, but you are someone who is very grounded. You work with what is tangibly in front of you, and you honestly have this gift for being able to take in situations and understand how it can be made better, how it can be made successful, being able to look at something and see, okay, well, if I put these people on this project and guide these people into this. Capricorns are natural leaders. Now, I do believe that it is important that we divorce Capricorn from the very capitalist connotations that it often has around they're the CEO, they're the bosses. Certainly, that can be a theme for you. You can see the world through the lens of how is it that I succeed? How can I arise to the top of my ambition? But it's more so about ascending to the top of one's own potential. And that can be done in business context, sure, but other Capricorn risings can find that their desire, this quest for ambition, is funneled more through music, is funneled more through being on the PTA, is funneled more through other pursuits. Whatever the medium, whatever the hobby, the activity, the business, the industry that they pick, Capricorn has a natural fixation to want to ascend to the top of their potential within it. They're able to view situations and view themselves through that realistic lens. So being able to see, okay, well, if I do this, if I invest here, if I put these pieces together, I can arise to the top of my potential. And why you're gifted as being a leader, because you can see the sum of the parts and how you can put people or projects or initiatives together in order to make the whole and to succeed. You see the world through the lens of improvement and things being better and succeeding. And that makes you a very ambitious person. You see the world and you tend to sort of fixate on what's wrong with things because you do see the world through such a realistic lens. But it can create some internal struggle at times because you are so realistic about your own faults and your own challenges that you can be very hard on yourself and have sort of a tough internal world, a tough internal way of talking to yourself because you are driven to want to ascend, succeed. So if you make a mistake, which unfortunately even the Capricorns of us are bound to make, you take it very hard because there can be this association with the person that you are, with your success within the external world, whether that is material, aesthetic, artistic, familial, whatever, social success, the external world, prestige, ambition, and internally seeing the world through that lens. So if it's not where you want it to be, feeling really down on yourself and really frustrated. Capricorn is associated with the sea goat, which is really unusual. It's not real. It's not a real thing. I had to Google that in my weekly horoscope series, Magic Monday, one week. I was like, talking about how it's fictional. It's like, let me actually just make sure that there's not some weird animal as a sea goat. Half goat, half sea creature. And even though, you know, they don't have legs, I do love to compare Capricorn energy with a mountain goat, because mountain goats be getting to the top of the mountain in the craziest ways, and Capricorn energy is the same. They are intensely resourceful. They see, if I take this step and this step and this step, I'll arise to the top of the mountain, and they will do what it takes in order to get there. They logically and practically break down the little precipices, the little cliffs that are needed, and they are determined to get up there. They don't let any height, any narrow little ledge deter them. They are determined to ascending to the top. But interestingly, with the sea sort of connotation, there is this sort of mystical energy to it. And I know it's not typically a word that we associate with Capricorn. With sea goat, you know, it's this mystical creature. It's half and half. So it does sort of indicate this blending of the material world, earth, goats, with sort of the mystical, intuitive, psychic world. And not to say that Capricorn energy is naturally associated with intuition, but there is this ability to make things happen. Like if you want something done right, ask a Capricorn. Capricorns are so determined, so ambitious, that they will be able to facilitate magic within the external world and make it happen for themselves. And you as a Capricorn rising, you depend on yourself. You know you have that ability to flesh out your dreams, flesh out your desires, and make it happen. The downside of this is that you can be so fixated on the end result, right? You are governed by Saturn, the planet of rules and restrictions and challenges, that you forget to enjoy the journey of getting to the top of that mountain if you're a mountain goat, or whatever the heck sea goats do when they're accomplishing their dreams. Like there is such a single-mindedness with Capricorn rising. I don't want you to lose out on pleasure and fun and lightness, because you see the world, whatever age you are when you're watching this, whether you are 15 or you are 75, Capricorn risings have this wisdom about them, the wisdom of time. They're governed by Saturn, the planet of time. And so even when they're young, they could feel more comfortable with people who are older than them. They could feel like they are weathered or wise beyond their years. Oftentimes, Capricorn risings have this interesting condition where they sort of age backwards. Like you as a Capricorn rising, you can find that as you're younger, you put all this stress and this pressure on yourself, because remember, rising is how we entered the world, right? With Capricorn, it represents how you see the world, how you sort of entered the world. So you could have been, you know, the kid who was constantly worried, or the one who was constantly stressed out about grades, or constantly beating yourself up for one mistake or the other, or you had to be the strong one. You had to grow up before you were ready to hold it down for other people. And as you get older, you'll find that you are more in touch with your play, with your fun, with your lightness in life. And you age like fine wine. Ooh, Capricorn risings really do age beautifully, because it's almost like you're Benjamin Button of the zodiac. You age backwards. The older you get, the more sort of youthful and fun that you get. You still maintain that Capricornian desire to succeed and to ascend to the top of your potential, surely, but you find with time that you're sort of able to reclaim the youthful side of your personality that could have felt vacant when you were younger, because you were so hard on yourself and had such high standards. And you do portray this aura of having it all together. And the thing about being a Capricorn rising is that that's something that you feel like you have to project to the outside world, and it could feel very uncomfortable for you to be vulnerable, to let down that veneer. Like I mentioned, sometimes Capricorn risings had to grow up before they were ready. They had to take care of siblings. They had this energy of needing to be the adults while they were still a kid. And oftentimes with Capricorn risings, they don't feel safe letting their guard down. They are the people that their friends come to and they help them with their problems. They are resourceful, they are resilient, they get things done. So people come to them as like sort of a safe harbor to handle matters of that nature. And they could feel really uncomfortable allowing that veneer to come down or to be able to be vulnerable, because it's almost like this Capricorn rising little voice in their head that is like, you've got to be strong. You've got to have it all together. People are depending on you. You've got to pull this out. You're the leader. You can't let the cracks show. Now, we can't write Capricorn off for being all work and no play. Capricorn is an earth sign, so you are someone who is sensual. You know, Capricorns tend to have a very good sense of humor. It's very dry. Like I said, you're very realistic. You're very observant of things. So oftentimes the Capricorn, you know, sense of humor can be pretty funny. And they can feel very connected to the material realm. They have a taste for the finer things of life. You know, they're not climbing to the top of the mountain for nothing. Like, they do want to enjoy the view while they're there and enjoy life while they're there. So we shouldn't write them off as just being like workaholics. They can certainly spiral into that, but they also have a side of themselves that is very, very funny, that is very, very driven, that is very, very strong, that is very, very resilient, hilarious, sensual. Capricorn risings are multifaceted. They contain multitudes. And since you are governed by Saturn, take a look to the sign that Saturn is in, the house that it is located within, as well as the aspects it's making, as it will indicate more about how it is that you see the world. So now that we've talked about how you see the world, let's talk about how the world sees you. People see you as being very strong. They can find that you are intimidating. You have an aura about yourself that is very authoritative. People can see you as someone who is very serious, someone who's very sober. And like I said, you view your world through those Satyrian glasses. So yes, you do take things seriously. You can sometimes see the cup as half empty, because sometimes it is, but Capricorn risings can project this aura around being a little apathetic, a little serious. It's just what they project. It's not necessarily always the case, but they just have this energy kind of oozing from them where there is this darkness about them. People will pick up on that Saturnian, which makes it great because you have a natural authority about you. People will trust you with matters. People will come to you for practical solutions to problems, but you can intimidate people without necessarily meaning to an appearance level. Capricorn risings, I'm so jealous of their bone structure. Oh my gosh, it's like cheekbones you get a paper cut with. I particularly noticed their jaw lines. They have fantastic jaw lines. Here is some Capricorn rising celebrities that I was able to find. So check out their amazing, enviable bone structure. I also can spot Capricorn risings by their eyes. Like, they just have this Saturn look in their eyes, like they're weathered, they've seen it all. There's a wisdom about themselves. There's a seriousness about them. They also sort of have an emphasized brow bone, I've noticed. Oftentimes, the cheekbones are pronounced, and then there's a little bit, again, no shade at all, there's like a little bit of sallowness in the cheekbones. Like, they have very slim faces, and you can really see all their bones, and so sometimes their cheeks aren't really that puffy. It'll be sort of like a dip inward. And in terms of like style and aesthetics, how they express themselves, you know, Capricorn rising will have a certain standard for how it is that they want to come across. Like I was mentioning earlier, you know, how they want to project having it together, being the strong one, being the leader. They're not going to be comfortable with people seeing them any old way. Like, they'll have their aesthetic really, really dialed in. They'll want to look neat. They'll want to look put together. They'll have their distinct style that could differ from what other people are wearing. Oftentimes Capricorn risings stick to the test of time, right? They might be drawn to vintage clothes or something of the nature, things of higher quality. They're not the ones who are going to be running on Shein to follow every little trend, right? They'll have their own aesthetic that they stick to, and they tend to invest in pieces that stand the test of time, that are of higher quality. And I spoke on this earlier, but you can typically spot a Capricorn risings because they'll have a wisdom about themselves when they are young. They'll just seem older. They seem more responsible. They seem more disciplined when they're younger. And then when they're older, they look young because they have that Saturn test of time. They age like fine wine. They could find that sort of, sometimes Capricorn risings when they're younger could be a little awkward because, like I said, they could feel more comfortable with people who are older than them. They could just feel awkward with the energy of youth around being carefree and fun and flirting, and they could really find that they grow into themselves later and ascend to the top of their own potential and ability. Friends, I had so much fun diving into the Capricorn rising. Let me know what resonated below. My Instagram handle is @Comet Astrology. My TikTok is the same. I would love to connect with you on either of those platforms. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.